Hello everyone, Aratic here. Today we are back for more Mage soloing, and this time we are tackling Sanctum of Domination on Mythic mode. But before we jump in, a quick disclaimer. I've received a lot of comments recently of people not understanding how I do my solos, especially the Mythic Jaina kill. And this made me realize that the answer was less obvious than I thought, so here it is. You absolutely need to play Arcane Mage to be able to do what's in this video, and the reason is quite simple. Currently, Touch of the Magi, which is one of the main arcane cooldowns, is completely bugged and does crazy amounts of damage in legacy content. This bug has probably been there since the release of Dragonflight, and Blizzard still hasn't fixed it. So there you have it, Arcane is bugged and I'm using this bug to do some crazy solos, and if you play anything else it will not work. And now, without further ado, let's start killing some bosses. So let's start with the first boss, Tarragrue, which is actually extremely easy. This was my first and only attempt. And I didn't even have the optimal covenant for soloing, which is Necrolord. I was Night Fae and I still one-shot this boss. That being said, you will need very good gear to be able to solo this raid. All of the kills were done with 480 eye level and above, so you cannot just take a fresh level 70 mage and solo everything on Mythic mode. So speaking about Tarragrue, there's actually not a lot to say. The only thing that really matters is what anima powers you select before the fight. The only very important anima power is something that prevents stun, because the chain will one-shot you in Mythic mode. So I recommend taking Ever Beating Heart and resetting your anima powers until you find it. Other than that, just pick any damage increasing anima power. There's really no bad choice since you are solo, there's no downside to anything, so just take the best anima power you can, and then it's just a matter of nuking the boss hard enough before he kills you. You might need to do some kiting, but overall Tarragrue doesn't pose any significant challenge. Moving on now to the second boss, Eye of the Jailer. Again, this is a very easy boss, and this is actually the first instance where Arcane allows us to do things that are otherwise impossible. This boss normally has two transitions. The first one is at 66% and the second one is at 33%. However, using the crazy burst damage that we have at our disposal, we are able to skip one transition by bringing the boss from 75% all the way down to 25% in one hit, so we will only have one transition instead of two. And this is a good thing because transitions are kind of hard, because the adds deal increasing amounts of damage and dealing with them becomes difficult after some time. Here I use Touch of the Magi to get rid of one ad as quickly as possible, and then I stall for a bit because I actually need my cooldowns for phase 2 to be able to finish the boss quickly. So I'm just dodging abilities while waiting for my cooldowns. One thing to note here is that the chains will not always hit you, but when they do you need to be prepared because the chain drags you toward the edge super quickly. So here I used the Bling because I got hit, and I'm going to get hit a second time, so this time I used an Ice Block to completely remove the chain. So overall a very easy boss, and being able to skip one transition makes this even easier. Moving on to the third boss, the 9, and actually I'm just gonna let the clip roll because this boss is once again very easy, there's nothing to say, so I'm just gonna let you enjoy the video and I'll catch you on the next boss. Soulrender Dormazain. In one boss, we've gone from stupidly easy to almost impossible. This boss was a huge challenge and I had to optimize everything to get a kill. First of all, let's talk DPS. I am using the Necroload Covenant, which is absolutely broken for soloing, and we'll talk about that later in the video. I am also using the Disciplinary Command Legendary Power, which gives me 20% crit damage if I do a Fire, Frost and Arcane spell in quick succession. I equipped 2 Mastery Embellishments, and despite all of that, I also needed every bit of luck I could get to get this insane burst, 23 million damage on my Touch of the Magi, which was my absolute best out of all the attempts that I had made so far. And this took me a very long time. It actually took me almost a month worth of attempts to get this kill. But you might be wondering what makes this boss so difficult to solo on Mythic. Well, you see, you have 1 minute and 20 seconds to kill this boss. At 1 minute into the fight, Dormazain will shackle Garrosh with 3 chains. This will make Garrosh start a 20-second long cast of Hellscream, which constantly fears you if it ever finishes. To interrupt this cast, you have to break all 3 chains. However, on Heroic and Mythic mode, you cannot break more than 1 chain due to a debuff. So your only option is to kill Dormazain before the cast finishes, which I was barely able to do with only 8 seconds remaining on the cast. The DPS requirement for this solo is absurdly high, over 800k DPS, which means for the foreseeable future it's Arcane Mage only. Remnant of Ner'zhul, and as much as the previous boss was almost impossible, this one is comically easy. I really have nothing to say, just nuke him down. Enjoy the video, guys. Moving on to Painsmith Raznal, and I really expected this boss to be a challenge, but it really wasn't. He does absolutely no damage, and everything in transition is low level. The spikes, the balls, the adds, everything misses you, so you take no damage, and this boss is once again very easy, so enjoy the video. The next boss, Guardian of the First Ones, and this one is once again very easy. I actually forgot to save the footage from my first kill, so this is a second kill that I made quickly. Again, very easy boss, nothing special, just nuke him down, and I'll see you on the next boss. Moving on to Fatescribe Roh-Kalo, and before attempting this boss I actually thought it would be impossible. But as it turns out, this kill only took me 1 hour. And the key to this fight is once again stupidly high DPS. So normally Roh-Kalo has 2 transitions at 70 and 40%, but completing even 1 transition is completely impossible in Mythic mode because you have to do all the rings by yourself and there's just not enough time to do this. So my strategy was simple: kill the boss before the first transition. So I start the encounter by using the Tindral trinket, but I do not burst immediately because I don't want to trigger the transition too early. So I use Ulti time to snapshot my health above 90% for the mastery embellishments that I have, and then I use my mirror images so they tank the boss, use all my cooldowns and unleash a devastating 24 million Touch of the Magi on Fatescribe Roh-Kalo, killing him in 45 seconds with 986k DPS. Note that if you are not able to kill the boss before the first transition, you can actually survive a few seconds after, but this is still very much Arcane Mage only. We have reached the penultimate boss, Kel'thuzad, and I was not expecting it, but this kill was actually very difficult. So let's talk about the strategy. You might notice the strange opener that I'm doing. I'm using Arcane Surge straight into Touch of the Magi, and this is not the normal Arcane rotation. But I'm doing this opener because I absolutely do not want to get hit by Soul Fracture, because it increases your physical damage taken, meaning you will instantly die to any of the abominations. And this opener ensures the cast doesn't finish. The first transition is really all about RNG. You need to be able to quickly kill 2 Banshees, otherwise they will start channeling and they stack a damage increasing buff on themselves, which will quickly wipe you. To kill them quickly, the best way is to use the Tindral trinket, but you will need good ad spawns, and this is why I said it's all about RNG. A good thing though is once you've killed an ad, you can just forget about it, because although they do respawn after 10 seconds, they do not aggro you and just stand there doing nothing. Now we need to handle the transition by killing the ad, and normally it is impossible to do this solo, as the fight will reset the second you step into the phylactery. The only solution to prevent a reset is to leave a pet upstairs, something that we do not have as Arcane. But the Necrolord ability Kevin's Oozling gives us the solution, by spawning a jelly pet for 20 seconds when we use Deathborn. Note that we were able to kill the Remnant ad in 1 transition, something which is normally impossible, thank you Arcane. So we skip P2 entirely and now we are in P3, and this is where it gets real. You will take crazy amounts of damage because of new Banshee spawns, and this time you cannot kill them, you have to focus the boss. So I had to use everything that I had to be able to survive. I used Ulti time here, a health potion, and I was barely able to stack a Touch of the Magi high enough to kill the boss while inside my ice block. So overall, Kel'Thuzad was a lot harder than I anticipated. However, this one is not Arcane Mage only. Durandil the Hunter already soloed it, so shoutouts to him. And finally, we have reached the last boss of the raid, Sylvanas Windrunner, and this one was actually easier than I thought. Yeah, I know it's disappointing for last boss, but Sylvanas is really not that hard. Phase 1 is really nothing special. We use all cooldowns on pull and nuke the boss as hard as possible. There is no real DPS check, so don't worry too much about it. After that, the first intermission will begin, and it's once again very easy because the chains are low level and do little damage to you. Still, it is best to avoid getting hit, which is why I'm using Ulti time here to be able to do some damage before reaching the chains, while also dodging Rive as much as possible because it does a significant amount of damage, although not enough to one-shot you. Now let's get on with phase 2, and this is not really difficult. We do need to clear all of the ads however, so our movement needs to be optimized. Because when you're not near the ads, they start casting a damaging spell, so we don't have much time to kill them. So here I use all my cooldowns to quickly get rid of the first pack of adds, because it doesn't really matter if you do not deal much damage to Sylvanas during this phase, because phase 3 is actually much easier. Remember to dodge the veil because it will stack a healing absorb on top of you, and then once the first pack of adds is dead we need to backtrack and go the other way to kill the second set of adds. Meanwhile Sylvanas is casting Ruin, but I cannot interrupt her since I'm too far away, so I'm just using Alter Time to negate the damage. Now we get rid of the second set of adds and continue forward. Here I start on the left, once again using Alter Time to negate the damage of Ruin and pulling the Colossus. I stack a touch of the Magi on him and then I can leave and go back the other way before the Colossus is even dead and the touch of the Magi finishes him. Keep dodging the Veil of Darkness, kill all the remaining adds, and we are on to P3. We have now reached the final phase, as much as I would wish to tell you that it's difficult, it's really not. Sylvanas doesn't do much damage and the mechanics are very easy to deal with, even alone. The only point of interest is the use of Alter Time to avoid falling off the platforms because I'm not soaking the AoEs. But other than that, it's a very easy phase. I actually made a lot of DPS mistakes and I was still able to get a kill. So enjoy and I'll see you at the end of the video. And there we go, Sanctum of Domination, fully cleared solo on Mythic mode as an Arcane Mage. Before the video ends, let's quickly go over the talent and build that I use. You have the talent that I use, the solo build. It's really nothing special, just a standard Arcane build with defensive talents mixed in. And you can find the loadout code in the description below. Now let's talk about gear. As I said at the very beginning of the video, you do need very good gear. All my items here are 483 eye level and above, except the ring, which as I stated is used for the disciplinary common legendary power, which gives 20% crit damage and is well worth losing a ring slot. Also note that I do have many items with leech, which is absolutely mandatory to stay alive, as we have almost no self-healing as a mage. So here I was playing with 8% leech, which is good enough. Now let's talk about the Necrolord Covenant, which is the best one for soloing by a very long shot. And the best soulbind to use is Plague Deviser Merileth. We start on the right and take the Plagueis Preemptive Strike talent, which gives us 12% more damage for the first 15 seconds of the encounter, which is insanely good for the Arcane Burst. Then we have the Ultimate Form talent, which heals us for 12% of our maximum health when we cast Fleshcraft, the shield ability, coupled with the very first talent, which gives you more mastery when you use Fleshcraft, and the fact that the shield is a percentage of your maximum health and not a fixed number makes this ability and talent tree unbeatable. Regarding conduits, there's not a lot of options since most of them don't work anymore, but we can still pick up Mage's Brand and Gift of the Lich for some extra damage. I already mentioned the final conduit, Kevin's Oozling, earlier in the video. He gives a bit more damage and has the added benefit of tanking the boss for a while after our mirror images are dead. And finally, the ability Deathborn, which gives us a whopping 15% more damage on Arcane Blast, which is just the icing on the cake. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer this kind of video where I comment over the kills instead of just having music. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.